I encourage you to do so. If you have family members or loved ones who are eligible, I would ask that you encourage them to be vaccinated. You and they, in doing so, will protect yourselves, your family, your friends, your co-workers, and our community.
With a mission to deliver fiscally responsible, highly dependable services to the citizens of our community and the region with integrity and professionalism, this is the City of Albany Commission Meeting with Mayor Bo Duro, Mayor Pro Tem John Howard, Ward 1, Matt Fuller, Ward 2, BJ Fletcher, Ward 3, Chad Warbington, Ward 4, Bob Langstaff Jr., Ward 5, Demetrius Young, Ward 6, City Manager Sharon Subadam, City Clerk Sonia Talbert, and City Attorney Nathan Davis. This is the City of Albany Commission Meeting.
Good evening. Welcome to the February 2021 regular meeting of the Albany City Commission. We begin tonight with an invocation. We're honored to have Pastor Garrett Grubbs from Sherwood. Pastor, if you would come to the podium, please.
Father, thank you, God, for today, and I lift up these men and women, our commissioners. I pray that you would continue to give them wisdom and guidance as they represent our community. I pray for blessing over them, Lord. I pray that you would govern the decisions that they make, Lord, and I pray for blessing over Albany, that God, everything that we do, that would have your hand of grace and protection over us. And Father, I pray also for them as individuals, God, that you would lead and guide them and their families, and Father, that you would bless them individually. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you for being with us, Reverend Grubbs. Commissioner Howard, would you lead us Pledge of Allegiance?
Here.
2, Ward 2,
Here.
3, 4,
Ward 4 is here.
Ward 5,
Ward 5 is here.
Ward 6,
Here.
and Mayor.
The mayor's here. And the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. I assume commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes. Any omissions or corrections? If not, entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move that the minutes be approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard.
No discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No discussion.
Commissioner Warbington.
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No discussion.
Commissioner Young.
No discussion.
If that, could we call the roll, Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
Public hearing, Madam Clerk. What? I didn't hear.
Ward 4,
Ward 4, yes.
Ward 5,
Ward 5 is yes.
Ward 6, Ward 6, Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. Commissioner Young, you still with us? The next item on the agenda is a consideration of a request for special approval seeking authorization to construct a self-storage facility on a 8.48 acre tract, which is now Zone C-3C at 2115 Radium Springs Road. Is Mr. Forgy with us? Brief overview on this, please, sir.
Certainly. The applicant is requesting special approval to construct a Planning Commission recommended approval. And if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to address.
Okay. I note the Planning Commission vote was 4-3 to 1. Any questions for Mr. Forgy? Mr. Howard?
Noted question for Mr. Fogg.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No questions.
Commissioner Worthington?
No questions.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No questions.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, sir. Mr. Forgy, can you clarify one more time for us about the regulation, in terms of the gentleman having, junk cars on that property, and what you required to do, upon the approval of plans to build that facility, and just clarify for us one final time, what those stipulations are?
Certainly. This zoning does not allow for storage of junk vehicles, so, if he gets special approval or not, but if he goes forward with special approval and builds a storage facility, he will not be allowed to store junk vehicles there. It will simply take a call to code enforcement to 311, and they'll be on top of it and address that with the owner. But as a storage facility, he potentially people could store vehicles that are not registered or not drivable. They could store them inside of an enclosed storage facility. So they would not be allowed to be stored outside. But if they're inside a closed facility, no one would know about them anyway. But they cannot be stored outside. That would be addressed through code enforcement.
And to follow up to that, his plans do not include any of those storage pads that make other storage facilities that allow both the vehicles to be outside. Plans don't include that.
They do not specifically include that. But to my knowledge, I don't think the other ones have either. So if that is a problem for him to store operable vehicles outside or to allow his customers to store operable vehicles outside, that probably should be specified any potential approval, because I don't think that has been clearly specified on previous approvals.
Okay. Now, I do know they have storage pads at one particular facility that's on Gillianville. They have about eight of them. And do you know if the regulations require those specific storage pads to keep those type of vehicles on the outside? Do they have to have those pads built? Or can they just specify a particular area?
I do not know, but I'm certain that they cannot store them in the access ways. So they couldn't just store them.
Okay.
They would have to have a dedicated area in order to have the space to store that.
Right. Okay. This gentleman plans have no plans for that type of area.
Nothing that's called out. No, nothing specifically that looks large enough to do that, and nothing that is called out on his site plan.
Okay. Thank you. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a motion to,
I make a motion to approve with the condition that no vehicles are allowed to be stored, whether that's motorized or water vessels or whatever it may be. No vehicles are stored outside of the storage units. And also, if it's possible to put it a contingency on that the project would have to be started within 18 months.
is there a second?
I would like to second that, but I thought that when we discussed it last time, we weren't able to put that type of contingency on it. I thought we had discussed that. The type of contingency that told him when he had to start. At least that's what I remember.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Forgy, can we impose these conditions?
I'm not aware that.
I don't believe so, but.
Enforcing a deadline for construction, I don't think is enforceable. As far as vehicles, I mean, you can't have junk vehicles even on your residential property. There's a code provision for that, and so,
Yeah,
I mean, we can put it in there in the ordinance, if it passes, about the, no junk inoperative vehicles. That's no problem. It's already in the code book, though, about those type of vehicles, but it's a good idea. Thank you, Commissioner. If it passes, we'll put that in the ordinance itself.
Right.
Thank you.
I wasn't just saying non-operable, I meant storage like an RV or like a boat or something like that would be stored outside. So that would need to be stored, or a classic car or something like that. It would need to be stored inside behind the door, as Mr. Forgy mentioned. And then as far as a timeline on construction finish, I understand, but could we not impose a start time that the project would have to start within a certain amount of time?
That's correct, and I stand corrected about, we can't put in there about the boats and things like that, too. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess you're saying we cannot impose a deadline to start the project?
Yes, sir, that's the point I was trying to make earlier. Thank you.
Okay, well then I'll remove that part and just make the stipulation that no storage of vehicles outside of any of the units.
Excuse
Second that motion.
Do we have a motion, a second? Excuse me, Ms. Talbert? Yes, ma'am. But we have to make a motion to approve. Is it? Okay. So the motion, as I understand it, is to grant the special approval subject to condition that no inoperable vehicles, no boats or trailers will be on the premises outside the storage units. Is that correct, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir, and I guess, nor storage of operable vehicles, I guess if that's the case, like an RV or something like that. So storage of any vehicle outside of the storage unit itself.
Okay. Is that agreeable with you, Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No, sir, no discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warpington?
Yeah, Mr. Forgy, I got a couple of questions. So can you not do a special approval, and although we can't enforce them to start, but can't we make it contingent that the special approval is revoked if the project is not started?
No, sir, I do not believe that is legal, because to change, this is a zoning action, which is a legislative action of the city commission, and that to change the land use of the property takes a legislative action. So it cannot be undone because of lack of action on the applicant's part. The city could choose to change it in the future if they decide that he hasn't acted quickly enough, but that would be an action by the city at a later date.
Okay, so it would take a legislative action to revoke it. It couldn't
That's
automatically
correct. So-
revoke. Okay, okay.
If I can interrupt, the city would have
All
to
right.
file its own petition to rezone the property at that point.
Yeah, so the city would become the applicant, to rezone it.
Yes, so they would be the applicant.
My
and
second question, Mr. Forgy, is back to the planning meeting. They had a public hearing, I assume, when this matter came up before the planning board.
That's correct.
Do you remember who spoke?
The applicant's engineer spoke, and the same gentleman that spoke against the approval spoke to the planning commission.
Okay, basically the same people that spoke to us.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, that's it, I'm finished.
Thank you. Commissioner Langstaff?
No questions.
Any discussion? Commissioner Young?
No more discussion.
Been a motion, a second, and discussion. Mr. Howard, can we call for a vote?
Ward 1,
No.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
No.
Ward 4,
No.
Ward 5,
Yeah.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes. Next item on the agenda is an application to transfer an alcohol license from Harvey's to Food Line.
Good morning.
Property at 2800 Old Dawson Road.
Good evening. Food Line
Good evening.
LLC at 2800 Old Dawson Road has submitted an application for a transfer of the existing alcohol license for packaged beer and wine. The applicant is Jason Wilson at 198 8th Anson Drive in China Grove, North Carolina, and the local agent is Kenneth A. Thomas at 624 Longbow Drive. The type of business is a supermarket. Planning identified this location is zoned in C3 on an arterial street and in Ward 5. There's no distance requirement. The establishment was previously Harvey Supermarket, 1695, and the Winn-Dixie Store Incorporation from 2011 to 2021. The applicant placed an article in the Albany Herald at least 10 days prior to this meeting as notification to the general public that the application would be considered for approval. The applicant and the location meets the criteria for approval.
Any questions for the marshal? Commissioner Howard?
No question for the marshal.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No questions.
Commissioner Worthington?
No questions.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No question.
Commissioner Young?
No question.
Thank you, Ms. Norman. Chair would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Ward 4.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Worthington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Madam Clerk, could we call for a voice vote?
Ward 1,
No.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
Mayor,
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda is also a transfer, a beer and wine license at a Albany Food Mart, which is located at 2125 Newton Road. Ms. Norman, can you explain this for us, please?
Yes, sir. Arshan Enterprises LLC, doing business as Albany Food Market, 2125 Newton Road, Suite B, has submitted an application for transfer of an existing alcohol license for packaged beer and wine. The applicant is Sohail Manu, 5569 Hooper Drive, Beaufort, Georgia. The local agent is Ebony Mitchell at 1228 Rawson Drive here in Albany. The type of business is a convenience store. The planning department identified this location zoned in C3 on an arterial street and in Ward 6. There are no distance requirements for a transfer. This establishment was previously June Bugs number 2 from 2012 to 2021. The applicant placed an article in the Albany Herald at least 10 days prior to this meeting as notification to the general public that the application will be considered for approval. The applicant and the location meet the criteria for approval.
Thank you. Mr. Norman, any questions? Mr. Howard?
No question for Mr. Norman.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions for the marshal?
No questions.
Ms. Fletcher?
No questions.
Mr. Warmington?
No questions.
Mr. Langstaff?
No question.
Mr. Young?
No question.
Thank you, Ms. Norman. Chair would entertain a motion to approve this application.
Motion to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
Commissioner Fletcher
I
seconded.
second it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Mr. Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Mr. Young? Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Thank you. Could we call the question?
Ward 1,
No.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. And the next item on the agenda, Ms. Talbert, are you going to address this item?
Yes, Mayor. This is an appointment to the Long-Term Financial Planning Committee, and it's to fill an unexpired term that former Commissioner Postel held. It's my understanding that the Utility Board will make their appointment at their next board meeting.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Talbert? Mr. Howard?
No question. I would like to, so we will nominate tonight Ms. Sonia.
Yes, for a commission member.
Can I do that now?
No, let me go around and you'll be the first one to nominate.
Okay.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, any questions for the clerk?
No, sir, no questions.
Mr. Fletcher?
No questions.
Mr. Warmington?
No questions.
Mr. Langstaff?
No question.
Mr. Young?
Yes, sir. I think the discussion last time, we were trying to look how much money was left in that particular fund. That this board or committee was over. Did we get that answer from city manager?
I thought I emailed that out to you, Commissioner Young. I apologize. I'll go ahead and get that right away.
All right, I must have missed. I may have missed it.
Okay, I'll make sure I send it again.
Did that go out to everybody?
I'll send it to everybody.
And when did it go out?
I thought I sent it, but let me go ahead and check. Maybe I failed to do so.
Okay, well, we'll get that with the discussion. Okay. Any nominations, Commissioner Howard?
Mayor, like to nominate Demetri Young from Ward 6.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
I nominate Commissioner Worthington.
Okay. Commissioner Fletcher?
No, because I would vote for Commissioner Warburton.
Okay. Commissioner Warburton?
No other nominations.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Is this just for the city commissioner nomination?
Yes, I think we now understand that the utility board has the right to nominate their 2 representatives, if I'm correct. Is that right, Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, then I have no additional.
Okay. Commissioner Young?
No, sir, I don't have any nomination.
Okay. With that, we'll call for Commissioner Young's nomination. Could we call the roll?
Ward 1,
Yes.
2,
No.
3,
No.
4,
No.
5,
Ward 5 is a no.
6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. Next, we'll call the nomination of Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Warburton.
Ward 1,
No.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Ward 5 is a yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward, Mayor.
Yes. Commissioner Warburton is duly appointed, but following up on Commissioner Young's comments, Ms. Subban, we had some questions about the remit of this committee insofar as it was established when the utility board was an independent entity, or essentially an independent entity. Oh, we're going to get some kind of presentation back on that?
Yes, sir, and, my apologies, I thought I had emailed it to you. The current balance is, $22,931,578. I just sent that to you. It was hung up in my outbox, I apologize.
Okay, do you break it down into the 3 funds for us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
That's what's left in the job investment fund. The general fund has 0 balance, and the utilities fund has $6 million.
Okay. Could I ask you, Ms. Subban, in preparation for our upcoming retreat, I mean, that'd give us time to get all this information together. Could we get sort of a presentation and how the money that has been expended has been expended?
Yes, sir. It's on that email that I sent, but we will be prepared to talk about it at the retreat, and also perhaps revise the bylaws that went along with this. Since right now we only convene the long-term financial planning committee when there's a project.
Okay.
But we'll be prepared to present that.
And, yeah, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have ordinances, and the first is a proposal, zoning case 21-006, proposal to change the status of property located at 700 North Cleveland Street from R2 to C5. Planning Commission voted to approve 8-0. Mr. Forgy, are you with us? Applicant is Ms. Jennifer Gibson. Ms. Gibson with us? Okay, Mr. Forgy.
Okay, this is a request to rezone the property from R2 to C5. The reason being is that in 1975, the current building was constructed. It was allowed at the time in the R2 district. It was constructed as a daycare facility. It's a commercial building. It's been out of use for over a year, So it's no longer a permitted use, it's a non-conforming use, and to use the building again as a daycare, which is what the applicant would like to do, a daycare for over 18 kids, it has to be rezoned to allow for that use. And that is her request, to rezone this facility from R2 to C5 in order to operate a daycare that's existed in the neighborhood for 40 years.
Thank you, Ms. Forgy. Any questions for Mr. Forgy? Commissioner Howard?
No question for Mr. Forgan.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No question.
Commissioner Warmington?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No question.
Commissioner Young?
No question.
Would any member of the commission like to propose the ordinance? Yes.
For the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the second reading and ask for its adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
second it.
Okay. I think Commissioner Howard seconded it before Commissioner Warmington got in. Okay. For the record, any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No further discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Mr. Arbor, could we call the question?
Ward 1? 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. The next item is actually 3 items, proposed changes to the alcohol ordinance. Ms. Davis, can you explain to us what we're considering at this time?
Yes, sir, Mayor. Commissioners, before you are 3 suggested changes in the alcohol code. The first one is to, I think, more succinctly and directly outline the denial hearing process. Applicants, while they have no property interest in these alcohol licenses, they are entitled to notice and an opportunity to be heard. And so we're trying to outline a process of how they'll be notified, when they'll be notified, and so that they can prepare for the hearing. The second item, we're trying to give, I'll say, better or more notice. The ad for the application can no longer be in the classified section. Instead, it will have to be somewhere else in the paper, which is an additional cost, but hopefully it will attract the attention. And speaking of attracting attention, there'll have to be new signage located at the proposed, at the location where the proposal is asking for a transfer or a new alcohol license. The third item deals with on-premises consumption licensees. The ability to stay open until 5 a.m. their proposal is to delete that entirely, and then the time limits that would take effect if the ordinance passes is alcohol sales cease at 2:55 a.m. And I apologize, I lost the rest of the
You want me to jump in, Nathan?
yeah, the other time limits, I'm sorry, here they are. They cease sales, like I said, then at 3:30, the premises must be cleared of all persons, provided employees of the licensed premises can remain until 4 a.m. So that those are the new times for ceasing sales, ceasing the ability to have patrons at the licensed premises, and then allowing for employees to remain till 4 a.m. Thank you.
And we'll be acting on all these as one ordinance, is that correct?
No, sir, they're three separate
Three
ordinances.
separate ordinances?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Howard?
I think explained it perfect.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No questions.
Commissioner Warmington?
No questions.
Commissioner Langstaff?
I have a question about the third ordinance, which adjusts the times for sales by the drink. And this is it's a question for Nathan. My understanding was that this did not apply to restaurants, but the way I'm reading, the way the ordinance has been drafted, it's all premises licensed to engage in such sales by the drink may remain open until 3:30 a.m. So are restaurants excluded for this, or are they included in this one?
Yes, sir, the restaurants that can meet the 50% of food sales rules have special code section on that. Thanks for the question.
So this would not apply to restaurants that meet that requirement?
That's correct, just on premises liquor by the drink sales, yes, sir. But again, restaurants have their own provision. Nathaniel, do you know the code section off the top of your head? No, I didn't think of it either, no problem. Yeah. And again, yes, sir, the restaurants are governed by, and motels also, that can comply with the 50% plus $1 more of room rentals. That they have different provisions. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I got.
Commissioner Young?
And I assume we'll be taking, each of these three questions, one at a time?
As you wish.
Okay.
It is kind of confusing. We got them all together, that's why.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear about that.
Okay, so we will be voting on each ordinance separately. Is that right, Ms. Davis?
Yes, sir. Each one will need a motion and a second, and then a
Okay.
vote independent of each other. Yes, sir. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you for bringing that up again, Commissioner Young.
Anything else, Commissioner Young?
That's it.
Okay. Now, just briefly, Ms. Davis, the hearing on the denial, I think we found out that the city code made no provision for an appeal of a denial of an alcohol license. Is that correct?
Well, it has some provisions in it, but I think it's just more clear now on how to actually.
We can't hear him.
No, it was already, I think, in there, but just not as clear as it is now about how to do it, how many days the city has to respond, how many days the applicant has to respond, and again, providing that the notice to the applicant will give him an outline of the reasons for denial so he can be prepared for the hearing.
And the second ordinance, that does include having a sign out in front of the business notifying the general public, and particularly those living in the immediate vicinity, that the applicant is seeking alcohol license, correct?
That's exactly right. It's patterned after the signs that are out there for actual rezoning applications.
And thirdly, I was not aware, can we get a copy of this provision about the restaurants? And
Oh, yes, sir, sure.
so restaurants can continue to sell alcohol until 8 o'clock in the morning, or what?
Well, I don't know it off the top of my head, but they just are allowed a certain leeway, again, based on sales. They have to sell at least 50% of the sales plus $1 more have to be food, and then they have an ability to stay open in a different schedule. Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's a state statute that governs businesses that sell, that are, derive 50% or more of their income from lodging, 50% or more of their income from food services. And that state statute obviously preempts whatever city ordinance we get.
That's exactly right. Those things go to a referendum, and then the cities can go ahead and adopt an ordinance, and that's what this body has done pursuant to the, like you say, the authority comes from the General Assembly.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we'll take these separately. The first,
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
Yeah, I was just gonna weigh in real quick. I thought in our work session that I was told that restaurants stopped serving at 12. That's what I remember being told, just like, liquor stores. I was told that restaurants stopped serving at 12.
I don't remember that, Commissioner Young, but obviously, Ms. Davis, you're gonna get us the statute.
I'll bring the ordinance. Yeah, I
Yeah,
apologize. I
so
don't know it off
we'll
the top
have
of my head.
that,
Yeah.
for clarification. But anything else, Commissioner Young?
No, sir, I just thought, just trying to make that clarification, to Commissioner Langstaff's question. I'm pretty sure that I don't know if it was, it could have been Mr. Norman, if that's the case, or maybe one of the people who were speaking at the hearing, that restaurants stop serving at 12, like liquor stores. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, you're gonna get us that information, aren't you, Ms. Davis?
I'll email it tomorrow, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, the first is the proposal to amend Section 6109 to adopt a new procedure for denial of alcohol license applications as well as denial of transfer or of alcohol license.
Mayor, I'll offer that ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the second reading and ask for its adoption.
There's a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard? Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warburton?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Ms. Talbot, can we call the question?
Ward 1, 2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. The next proposal is to amend Section 682 so as to adopt a new procedure for providing notice of alcohol license applications, including requiring posting of a sign at proposed location. Mr. Davis has explained that for us.
Mayor,
Yes.
I offer the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dispense the second reading, act for its adoption.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Is there a
I'll
second?
it. Yeah, Ward 4, second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warburton? I'm sorry, Commissioner Warburton?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
Transfer. I guess just a point of clarity. So we even when, how long does the, I guess, alcohol license last in terms of if the business goes out? Say like in the instance of the Harveys that we just voted on, and then I know there's some other alcohol licenses that we voted on in the past that have been transferred, but the business was out of or not operating for a certain length of time. How long can those alcohol licenses?
Mr. Norman, would you know the answer to that question? and let me clarify that, Commissioner Young, is the question where, we are in the middle of a vote. Okay, but so the question is, if one business with an alcohol license sells to another business, how long can the purchasing business continue to sell alcohol without a transfer being approved by this commission? Is that correct?
Yes.
In the instance where you have a location that's currently selling alcohol, if they're going to allow the continuation of alcohol during the application process, then they can maintain selling of alcohol until the application is approved.
Okay.
So other than that, that alcohol license is still there. Now, in the case, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If I can interrupt, Mayor, I think these alcohol licenses are just for 1 year.
Yes. Well,
And so the transferee can only get what's left on the license that's already in place.
right.
Until the application is approved.
Or it's expired, the 12-month expires, obviously.
That's correct.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Young?
Yes, partly, but also in terms of the transfer, if the business closes, then does the alcohol license, is it nullified?
If the establishment closes, yes, it does. It closes the alcohol license also.
Okay, I just wanted to see how that transfer part, was done. Okay, that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Voting on the second ordinance?
That's correct.
Isn't that right, Ms. Talbot?
Yes, we're at Ward 6. Yeah,
Your
my roll call stopped at 5.
your vote on the proposed amendment, Commissioner Young?
Oh, it's yes.
Okay, Mayor votes yes.
Did I lose?
The next
Sorry, did I
item,
lose?
sir?
Go ahead, I must have missed something.
Okay, the next item is the proposal to amend section 6.5, so to delete that provision. This is hours of operation, but allows up to 4 employees remain on the premises from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., requires that all patrons be out of the club by 3:30 a.m. The hours of sale remain at 2:55, but the premises have to be cleared of all employees at 4. Is that correct, Mr. Davis?
That's a good summary, yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve that
Mayor.
proposed amendment?
Yeah, Mayor, I offer the ordinance you described, ask for unanimous consent to dispense the second reading, ask for its adoption.
Motion is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Howard. Is any discussion, Commissioner Howard?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to thank Commissioner Mr. Warburton for bringing this to us last month at the Public Safety Commission, and I know there was a lot of pushback from individuals that we knew, but at the same time, I think that the data that he brought forth, we was in concert with other cities of this size in Southwest Georgia and Southwest Georgia at the same time. So I thank him for gathering the data and bringing before us.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Mayor, first of all, Commissioner Warburton, you have spent a lot of time on this, but now all of a sudden we're talking about restaurants that can't serve after midnight, if I'm trying to follow all of this. And I'm just sitting here thinking about some of the people that got in front of this. And I can name Mellow Mushroom, Applebee's, Harvest Moon. I'm not real sure how the Sand Trap qualifies because I know they do food, but I really don't want to pass this until we are really sure what it says about restaurants and the time, because I don't think any of us want to go back to any of the people that I just named and said, hey, you have over 51% in sales, and Norman, if I'm saying this wrong, please stop me, and then they would have to stop serving at midnight. And that's, unless I'm just reading y'all wrong, or Commissioner Warburton, that's when Commissioner Young said restaurants stop at midnight, these are just the names, and I know the business that Applebee's gets after midnight, Mellow Mushroom, Harvest Moon, all of them. That's a tremendous amount of business that these people are gonna be losing from 12 to 2:55. So I really wanna know what it says about restaurants before. I
Well,
don't see how any of us can vote
there's-
this blooming out here.
Yeah,
The restaurants, they don't stop at 12. When we say, Etienne and I were referring, but they have special provisions for being able to sell on Sunday. They have special provisions for the most recent one, I think it's called the brunch bill, where they could actually not have to wait until noon on Sunday to start serving. They could start at maybe 11:30 or so. So that's what the special thing was. They can take advantage of this ordinance, as well as, for example, a bar that we've been talking about can't take,
Yes, sir.
you know, those things. So there's no provision where they have to stop their alcohol sales at noon. But thanks for bringing, that's a good way you brought it up, though. I mean,
And then we had somebody say, oh, a restaurant could technically serve till 8 a.m. in the morning if they wanted to, and then another talk was, do restaurants stop serving? So as long as you, I mean, I felt like that was the ordinance that we was under, because I know that we've had the special provisions that come about. I just didn't know where that midnight, came in. I didn't know where that come from. So if nothing has changed, then nothing has changed.
well, if I could interrupt, Commissioner Fletcher, I think we've established, I mean, I was not aware of this provision until Commissioner Langstaff brought it up, but I think we've clarified and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Davis, that whatever these operating hours for restaurants, that's a state law. This city commission can't do anything about. Is that correct, Mr. Davis?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
All of this comes pursuant to the authority granted by the state. The most recent one being about whether there was going to be delivery of alcohol. It always starts at the General Assembly. Yeah.
So I don't think this would have any impact upon restaurants, Commissioner Fletcher.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Warmington? We're voting on it,
A
A
Ms.
couple things, a couple things. I actually looked up the restaurant code, and it says that, the only thing that affects a restaurant is the sale of alcohol. So restaurant can stay open 24/7. If they want to sell food, it's just the sale of alcohol will follow what we just talked about with the nightclubs.
Okay.
So they have to stop serving at 2:55. And they don't have to clear their premises, they just have to clear the alcohol at 3:30.
Okay.
So the premises don't have to be cleared of customers. And Mr. Norman, if I'm saying, he and I had talked a few days ago, because that was a question about how does this affect a restaurant versus a nightclub. And so those hours still are the same. It's just that a restaurant could stay open past 3:30. They just can't sell alcohol after that time. But I do want to recognize our Public Safety Committee. We've met dozens and dozens of times. We've taken up all kind of topics, and even as it comes to nightclubs, there were 4 or 5 things we were talking about as a group, that we were, discussing how to try to impact public safety. And some of the other measures, we felt like were going to be a significant impact on just the profitability and the business of nightclubs. And this is the one that we settled on. And actually the times have moved several different times. And so we feel like maybe this is the time that maybe helps public safety, but yet still balances business. So I do appreciate the folks that came and spoke to us, and even have spoken to us outside of meetings. And hopefully we're at a compromise here that it's kind of a middle ground of everybody involved. So, but I did want to clarify the restaurant piece. So
That's my understanding, and I'm looking at the code right here, and that's what it says.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, that's it.
Commissioner Langstaff?
I just want to confirm with Nathan that Commissioner Warbington, what he just stated about how the ordinances work is correct. Do you agree with what he said, Nathan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Commissioner Young?
I guess a point of clarification about what I was referring to. And like I said, I know we had a long, lengthy discussion with a number of people coming before us. And that's what I remember someone saying, that restaurants stop serving at 12 like liquor stores, but that may have not been correct. I was just only referring to what I had heard in the discussion based on what Commissioner Langstaff was asking. But to, I guess, in my mind, recall the conversation, there are a lot of unknowns, with this ordinance in terms of how it affects those businesses, especially the people that came before us. And I'm just thinking that, we probably, didn't have them in on the front end of this. And, maybe we need to, take a pause with this until we can get, I know we say we have I guess, an understanding or I think as Mr. Warwick put it, a compromise, but they were left out of the discussion from the start. So I don't know if that's going to be, or this is going to be palatable for them. But, that's just my 2 cents. That's all, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. I sent some unreadiness on the part of Commissioner Fletcher and Commissioner Young to vote on this. I think it would be appropriate, is that right, Mr. Davis? If somebody wants to make a motion to continue, now is the time while the motion's on the floor.
Yes, sir, they could withhold the unanimous consent. And that would push it till next month.
Okay. Well, so that is, but I was talking about a motion to continue.
Well, I will, if I listened to how Commissioner Langstaff stated that, and if that's what we're voting on, and if that's what is going to stick, is the 255 and the 5, then I'm okay with it. I just, when I picked up that midnight, I was unclear on where we were going with it.
Okay.
But with the way that Commissioner Langstaff proposed it, I'm okay to take the vote if that's what we're voting on.
Okay.
What we have all talked about in the meeting and with the people. So thank you, sir.
All right, then can we call the question, Mr. Talbot?
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
No.
Ward 3, Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yeah.
Ward 6,
No.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. And the next item on the agenda is a proposal to amend the city's records management policy so that we can better comply with the Open Records Act. Mr. Davis, can you give us a brief overview on this, please, sir?
Yes, sir. The city clerk's office is officially in charge of the records management portion. Our office handles all of the open records requests, and they exceed 1,000 each year. And so now a formal policy has been adopted, and of course it, as we discussed before, has to follow state law. And one of the big provisions that's in here is there's what I call the 3 business day rule. We have 3 business days to respond to a request, and that response should be, if the documents are readily available, that they go out within the 3 business days. If they're not, within 3 business days, our office has to arrive at what the probable cost will be, and you have to use the lowest hourly rate of the employee that can actually do this work. You can't add the burdens of FICA and Social Security. It's just the actual hourly rate, and this will help us get the information as to when it's going to be available and the cost. So we, if we don't do that in the 3 business days, we still have to supply it, but we can't collect for it. So a major portion of this will, we will get, each department will have a designee that will respond to us, and we'll stay in touch with during that 3 business day period. That's already done informally, but this policy will make it a formal provision to be followed, and it'll hopefully, you know, we haven't ever been sued over not following that, because everybody's worked so hard in our office and the other offices to get up the documents, but now it'll be in everybody's face that you need to send this information.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Any questions for the city attorney? Commissioner Howard.
No question for the city attorney.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No questions.
Commissioner Warrington.
No questions.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No questions.
Commissioner Young.
No question.
I would just like to comment, by my math, Ms. Davis, you get an average, the city's getting an average of about 5 requests per day. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Literally and figuratively. Yes, sir. Literally and figuratively, it's a flood. The Open Records Act is probably one of the broadest in the country, and the Supreme Court of Georgia has written numerous opinions that, quite frankly, say they're proud of it and they really enforce it. And I'm lucky to have the people in my office to get that done. It's a major league responsibility. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Davis. And would any commissioner like to offer the resolution?
I offer the resolution
Mayor, I'll
next is
offer the
adopted.
resolution as it's adopted.
Who was that?
I'll second it.
Well, I think Commissioner Howard beat Mayor Pro Tem to it. So, Mayor Pro Tem, do you want to second it?
Sure, I second it.
Okay. So the motion is made by Commissioner Howard, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard.
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No discussion.
Commissioner Warrington.
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No discussion.
Commissioner Young.
No discussion.
Mr. Talbot, could you call the question?
Ward 1,
Yes.
2? Ward
Yes.
2? Ward 3?
Yes. Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda is a proposal seeking a resolution in support of the SNAP Ed program. Commissioner Howard, and is Ms. Kirkwood with us today on the line? If not, Commissioner Howard, you want to just give us a brief explanation of what
Certainly.
we're considering?
Mr. Mayor, and to my colleagues and to those that are listening, this partnership with Department of Public Health will certainly enhance and improve that individuals that receive the SNAP program, which that stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, that is coming out of the Public Health Department. And by this city going on record to partnership with them, it will certainly be in the best interest that those that receive those type of funds. And the good part about it is the education process. I'm not here to give you my personal opinion, but at the same time, that in neighborhoods where there are black and brown individuals, there's a lot of underlying health issues. And by Ms. Kirkin from Public Health will work with those individuals that are registered to receive SNAP. And you know, and I know in this community, we certainly can never be overeducated. We are sort of uneducated. So by working with this program, we won't see success overnight, but it will teach individuals to make healthy lifestyles, be selective about food choices, and to really get out and get involved and do exercise, things of that nature. So in order to continue to have a good body, you certainly got to make sure you protect what's going into the temple.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Any questions for Commissioner Howard? Mayor Pro Tem.
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No comment.
Commissioner Warmington.
No question.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No question.
Commissioner Young.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo the comments that Commissioner Howard made in terms of the importance of education, especially with those folks who are using SNAP benefits, because it relates directly to health outcomes in our community. We know we have a struggling community, and with more education, people can make the right choices. Also, you know, making sure that those choices are available where they are, but we have to have them understand that we want people choosing the right foods that can just make a very difference in my ward and my zip code. Of course, we had the highest rate of COVID deaths, and those are the exact same. The research shows those are the same exact locations where we have more dollar stores than we have grocery stores and convenience stores, and we have farmers markets where you can get fresh foods and everything. But having had that situation for so long, people are just used to making those type of choices. So it's going to have to take a certain level of retraining and education to get folks to making those right choices. And this is a great start. I had the pleasure of conversing with Ms. Kirkwood in another meeting, and I'm excited about her program. So I think this would be a great support to her and her staff. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. I guess we'd all like to commend Commissioner Howard for his work in trying to help people who live at or below the poverty level assume greater responsibility for their own health, and also to address what is obviously a crisis in our community across the city. All categories of income and education. We know that obesity and diabetes are of epidemic proportions, but also not only limited to people who are most at risk, but some people who are affluent are actually not taking the responsibility, or we are, as Commissioner Young said, too often we become victims of habit and consume foods that are not healthy and actually are deleterious for our health. But with that, is there, does anyone would like to offer the resolution?
Offer the resolution, act for its adoption.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard. Mayor Pro Tem.
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington.
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No discussion.
Commissioner Young.
No further discussion.
Could we call for a voice vote? Ms. Talbot.
Ward 1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
3?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5?
Yes.
6,
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda is, calls for, it's 5 separate resolutions, installing speed tables at different locations. Mr. Maples, you with us?
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is requesting approval of installation of speed tables in 5 locations, that being the 2900 block of Phillips Drive, the 3100 block of Harvest Lane, the 3200 block of Winterwood Avenue, the 500 block of Meadowlark, and the 400 block of Watkins. The funding source, if approved, would be CSMOP.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Maples. If I could propose to the commission, even though we have 5 separate resolutions, can we just discuss them all at one time? If y'all want to address it separately, we could, but I think if we can consolidate it, we can expedite this. Is that agreeable with everyone, Mr. Howard?
I agree.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I agree.
Commissioner Fletcher?
I agree.
Commissioner Warrington?
Yes.
You hadn't left us for the festivities yet. Commissioner Langstaff?
I agree.
Commissioner Young?
Agreed.
Okay, perfect. Any questions for Mr. Maples? Mr. Breedlove, are you with us? Okay. Any questions for Mr. Maples on any of these projects? Commissioner Howard?
Nope.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No question.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No question.
Commissioner Warrington?
No question.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No question.
Commissioner Young?
Just one question, Mr. Maple, the one that's on Watkins Avenue?
Yes, sir.
Was this one, brought to the table with the, I guess, the new process in terms of the speed table? Because I do know, you know, that particular block, probably has less, homeowners in it than it does renters.
It was under the original, basically everybody met the required number of signatures.
Oh, it was, okay. Yeah, all right, okay, that's all.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Young. If we could take these resolutions separately at this point in time, if somebody would like to offer,
Mayor, I'd offer the resolution for all 5, and ask for their adoption.
okay. Can we do that, Ms. Davis?
Well, I hate to prolong it, but I think a better practice is to take them separately so the minutes
Okay.
will show a separate
Did you hear
vote.
that, Commissioner Warrington?
Yeah, I'll offer the resolution for, Phillips Drive and ask for its adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem?
No
Commissioner
further-
Howard? Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warrington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Can we call the question, Mr. Talbot?
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. Next, the chair would entertain a motion, offer the resolution for the 3100 block of Harvest Lane.
Yeah, I'll offer the resolution for Harvest Lane and ask for its adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warrington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Madam Clerk, could you call for a voice vote?
Ward 1? Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. The next item is the 3200 block of Winterwood Avenue. Would any commissioner like
Mayor,
to?
I'll offer that resolution for, Winterwood and ask for its adoption.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion, and I would ask that we waive discussion on this one and the last two, if everyone's in agreement with that.
Okay. Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion on any of it.
Commissioner Warrington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Okay, can we call the roll for a vote? Ms. Topper?
Ward 1? Yes. Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. Now I could poll the commission. Does everyone agree with the Mayor Pro Tem's suggestion that we suspend discussion on these next two items, being the 500 block of Meadowlark Drive and the 400 block of Watkins Avenue? Commissioner Howard?
Agree.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Warburton?
Agreed, yes.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
If I could ask one quick question, Mr. Maple, are there any other speed tables in Ward 6?
No, sir.
So this is the first installation of speed tables in Ward 6?
According to our records, yes, sir.
Okay, that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll offer the resolution for Meadowlark and ask for its adoption.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Can we call the question, Ms. Topper?
Ward 1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
3?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5?
Yes.
6?
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. And the next item, is there a motion?
Yes, sir, I'd like to, offer the motion to, for the resolution to ask for its adoption for the 400 block of Watkins Avenue.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. No discussion. Can we call roll?
Ward 1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
3?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5?
Yes.
6?
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the two proposals for the renovation of Driscoll Park. Ms. Subadan and Ms. Potter. Ms. Subadan, Ms. Potter, you want to come on up to the podium?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I'll turn it over to Ms. Subadan if she would like to speak on this, and I'll answer any questions I can.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Potter. Madam City Manager, you with us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can see you too.
And so we have concluded the two master plan options for Driscoll Park. Both are very exciting for our community. And so we would like the board to select an option and approve it so we can move on to the next phase of construction for redevelopment of Driscoll Park.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Potter or Ms. Subadan? Commissioner Howard.
So, Mr. Mayor, make a decision tonight on either option one or option two tonight?
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem?
No question.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No questions, but Mayor, I would like to take time to really thank you and Ms. Subin and others There's been a lot of time spent on this, and I've tried to keep the family up, the Driscoll family up, you know, along with some of the community, and it's exciting about the bigger community center and everything that y'all have put together, and I just really thank you for taking this part of the community under your wing, and I think it's gonna be a legacy that's gonna be, that we're all gonna be proud that we were a part of, so thank all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Commissioner Warburton?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Young?
Nothing further.
I want to thank Commissioner Fletcher for the kind words. Also, I'm excited about this. I think this project is going to be a sign of things to come. It's a profound statement that the city is prepared and invested in recreation. And with that, I would offer the field option, offer the resolution, and ask for its adoption. The field option being my preference. Is there a second?
I second, not because you're the mayor, but I second.
I appreciate that, Mr. Howard. Motion and a second. Anyone would like to propose the other option? If not, we would vote on the field option. Could we call the question?
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Ward 5 is yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. Thank you, Mr. Potter.
Thank you, sir.
Next item on the agenda is a proposal.
Mayor, can I interrupt and can I suggest that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we move to the consent agenda?
Is that acceptable, Mr.
I need
Davis?
to make that a motion.
Votes to approve that would be in order to make,
Okay.
moving it, yes, sir.
So,
Yes, so I'll make a motion for number 5, engineering services, number 6, the memorandum of understanding, number 7, the first family coronavirus, and then number 8, combined sewer outfall, and number 9, the gap funding for the Food for Less project. Is to move those to the consent agenda.
okay,
Mayor,
yes.
I would like to ask Mr. Warburton on number 9 for some further discussion on that one.
Okay, all right. With that,
Yeah, I'm fine if that's a substitute motion. So
Okay.
it would just be 5, 6, 7, 8 then, and then we can take number 9 by itself.
okay,
Excuse me, Mayor.
ma'am?
It would make the records cleaner if we could just get a motion to adopt 5 through 8 rather than moving it to the consent, because we'll have resolutions in 2 different spots if we move it.
Okay, Commissioner Warburton, the city clerk has suggested
I'll
that,
offer, yeah, I agree with, I can do that.
Okay.
So I offer the resolution for item number 5, 6, 7, 8 on our agenda, and ask for the adoption of all 4 of those.
is that acceptable?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warburton?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Okay, and just for clarification, Commissioner Warburton, we moved these 4 items to the consent agenda, is that correct?
No, we're taking, the city clerk's suggestion.
Okay.
I'll offer the resolution of all 4 of those,
Okay, and we have a,
and leave them on the agenda where they're at.
okay, so, any discussion on any of these 4 items, Commissioner Howard?
No discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warburton?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff,
No discussion.
Commissioner Young,
No discussion.
and can we have one vote on this, Mr. Davis, or do we need to vote separately?
I would suggest separate votes.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can go ahead now that they've voted to do it this way with at least 4 votes. Okay.
Okay, then we're voting on items 5 through 8. Can we call the roll?
Ward 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
Mayor,
Mayor votes yes. That brings us to an item, the request for a $200,000 forgivable loan to be extended to the Food for Less grocery store project. Ms. Brown, you with us tonight?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. We're here today to seek the authorization to use $200,000 to fund Community and Economic Development's Small Business Forgivable Loan Program for the Food for Less Allegheny Grocery Store project. And I'm here to address any questions, as well as Ms. Michelle Beener returning from last Tuesday, and we also have Cody McDaniel, one of the 2 principals for the Food for Less Allegheny project, on the line.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Brown or Ms. Keener or Mr. McDaniel? Commissioner Howard?
Is Mr. McDaniel on the line?
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes, I'm here.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you today?
All right. So the store that you all own back in my hometown, Tallahassee, right, on South Monroe?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you another question. I'm familiar with a food store that is sort of similar to that, not only in Tallahassee, but in Moultrie, Georgia. Is it that if a person were to purchase food at the store that is coming to West Gordon in the years next year, would there be a surcharge on like 10 cents per dollar?
It will be a cost plus 10 format supermarket. We run cost plus stores, and it provides really a lower cost to consumers. I mean, there's transparency between our suppliers and us about what our retails are when they by using that format. So we're able to get a lower price for our customer, a lower cost, and then pass it on to a lower price.
Okay.
It will be a cost plus 10 format, yes, sir.
Okay, and another question, if a person is going to use a EBT card, do they pay taxes on it or what?
They would pay no tax any different than if whether it was a cost plus 10 store that had a surcharge or not. There's not a tax on top of food purchases. So we're in complete compliance as far as taking an EBT and not charging tax the appropriate way.
Okay, okay. And another question, I guess, Ms. Brown, can you go into details about this 10-year that each year anniversary that $20,000 will be forgiven?
Yes, sir. As explained last Tuesday, it is going to be 0% financing for 10 years. On the anniversary of each loan, we will reduce or write off the $20,000 until the loan is paid off. And a part of that requirement is on the anniversary of the loan. We would require a job creation retention report to show what jobs have been retained or created by the Food for Less grocery store.
Okay, and another question about the, you alluded to last week at the meeting that but the jobs that they will create and all that, we will make sure that 80% of those jobs are from citizens of the city and the county of
Yes, sir.
Albany and Dougherty County.
We'll be asking for addresses for those employees, so we can confirm that they are indeed, at least 80% of those are within Dougherty County and the city of Albany as well.
Okay. Mayor, that's all I have. I would just like to thank Ms. Brown and Ms. Superdan for working with them. And if I have to go out and convince some of my naysayers why a store like Aldi's or either Whole Foods did not come to the south side, grocery business is a difficult and it's a testy concept now, and it's so much of politics and the big fish eating the small fish up. So a lot of those stores, like I allude to, like Aldi and Whole Foods, they have within their policy, they will not come to the area unless they're in a zip code where there's like $65,000 income in a certain zip code. So we will work with this company, and we hope in the next 10 years that we can continue to have jobs that will pay $65,000, that we probably can get a Whole Foods or Aldi to come to the city of Albany, Georgia. Wishful thinking.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions for Ms. Brown, Mr. McDaniel, or Ms. Meaner?
No questions.
Mr. Fletcher, any questions?
No questions. Just
Commissioner-
thank them for choosing Albany.
Commissioner Warmington,
No questions.
Commissioner Langstaff,
I actually have a question for Nathan on this. When we set up the long-term financial planning committee, I guess the way it has worked has been that items go to the long-term financial planning committee for their recommendation to the city commission, and the city commission makes the ultimate decision. But it sort of functions kind of like the planning commission does, like on zoning matters, the planning commission doesn't make a decision, but just makes a recommendation. But stuff, I guess we would say legally, it has to go through the planning commission. I'm not sure that things have to go through the long-term financial planning committee. That's just the way we have done it when we've done a grant. And I guess this ultimately could be a grant. And so my question for Nathan is, I know we don't have enough people on the long-term financial planning committee right now, and we're supposed to appoint people tonight, or we just did that. I guess my question is, do they need to meet and make a recommendation, and then the city commission have a special called meeting to approve their recommendation? I don't know that all that's necessary, but it's a question for Nathan.
I thought they were going to meet next week after the appointments are made. Is that on this issue? Is that correct, Phyllis? You're not aware of that? Okay. I thought I heard that somewhere.
I can answer that.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you want me to answer that?
Yes, ma'am.
Please. Thank you.
Yeah, we have not convened long-term financial planning committee meeting yet. One, we were waiting for this meeting to be over. Because this is not a grant and it doesn't follow the typical path of the grants of the long-term of the job investment fund, I didn't think that it was either necessary or appropriate for it to go to the long-term financial planning committee. Ultimately, that's your decision. There really is nothing in the bylaws that states that, but ultimately, that's, if you wanted to do that or go before them, that would be your call.
Any further questions or comments, Commissioner Langstaff?
Yeah, the only thing is, I mean, I'm looking online right now. I don't see that we have an ordinance on it. So I guess all it would be a resolution if we have anything. I did find some minutes where in the past, we've had loans not go before the long-term financial planning committee, but we said that the loan didn't have to because it wasn't a grant, but this is sort of a quasi-grant thing. I mean, it's gonna turn into a grant every year, a grant of 20 grand, I guess. And I don't know that what Sharon's saying about the, because it doesn't fit their parameters. I mean, I think there's a provision that it doesn't have to fit the criteria. They can still recommend approval, I don't know. I want to make sure we're following whatever procedure we got in place, and I don't know if there's a resolution that speaks to this or not. Like, I want to say that the utility and the city adopted a resolution on how they were going to handle these MEAG funds, but I don't have it in front of me. And I guess I just asking Nathan, does he recall?
I recall that concerning the MEAG money, that there is an ordinance that in plain speak provided that 1/3 of the MEAG credits or money, however you want to call it, that's back when WG&L had their own financial system, I'll call it. And so again, in plain speak, when the credit hit each month, 1/3 of the credit was used by Water, Gas, and Light for expenses and appropriate expenditures. 1/3 was in effect spent by the city for appropriate items, and then 1/3 went into the fund. And I used to call it the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 ordinance. So that's still effective. And then I think from that point on, there were just resolutions about when people would come in and make application. I think the EDC used to do something about kind of vetting it for everybody. And then...
Yeah, the EDC functioned as the initial gatekeeper.
Yes, sir.
But then once the EDC approved it, it came to the Long-Term Financial Planning Committee, and then the Planning Committee made a recommendation to the City Commission as a whole.
All right, so I'm sorry, I forgot about that stage. I thought it went straight to the City Commission. Thank you, sorry.
And so, Nathan, the question still in front of you is, do we have to go take this item in front of the Long-Term Financial Planning Committee, or can we just vote on it tonight?
I concur with the city manager. I think a vote tonight is appropriate because as Phyllis has pointed, and I apologize for calling you by first name, Phyllis has pointed out that while it is not a straightforward grant because there are numerous things they have to supply on each anniversary about employees and statistics and whatever, so I think it has enough stricture to it with all, there are at least 4 or 5 major items that have to be supplied each time, so I don't see it as a pure grant. I feel comfortable with a vote tonight. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Young.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify on Commissioner Howard's question on this cost plus 10 model. Now, you mentioned that you were talking about the suppliers. Now, are your costs just coming from what you're supplied, or are you interpreting costs to mean other things, like freight, shipping, stocking, whatever your cost of doing business, or what you consider your cost of doing business per 10, with 10% on top of that? What do you mean by cost?
We do take our cost, and that includes the cost of the product and then freight and fees and associated expenses. If for items that we do not stock ourselves in our stores that are delivered to our store, they're sold at dead net cost. And then depending on what we have to do to it, like say, if you have to grind hamburger meat, then there's additional costs associated with that because of supplies and freight to get it there that we don't have with other products that are direct store delivery, like a loaf of bread or maybe a 12-pack of Cokes. So, cost does, it is product, and it's only product if we don't do anything else to that product, if we don't have to have any other costs associated with it. But other products, it is some, there are fees associated with it, with freight, associated expenses, and the like. So it does vary depending on the items.
Okay.
But I can guarantee one thing, that we will have the lowest cost goods in the area. We price check constantly, Walmart's, Publix, other stores that are in our area, and we consistently have lower prices than they do. And they're not at an inferior quality. And I think that's a very important point to make.
Yeah, that is really important, that we know that we're getting quality, for, the price is good, but with the situation that we're facing, we definitely want to know that we're getting, quality, healthy food.
Right. Our motto is, if you have to trade down on quality, in order to get a lower price, then we've really done nothing and we failed. And so we stick to that very, very closely.
Okay, I appreciate that. And also, this is something that I kind of thought about. I know we're going to be doing some hiring fairly soon, and I would like Ms. Brown, supposed to Community Economic Development, since we are using quote-unquote workforce development fund. So let's see if we can try to do some type of partnership with Food for Less, maybe Albany Tech, and then maybe this is something that's been thought of before, to do a customer service class or training, and maybe even as a certification process. I have heard from many people, talking about, our area, and sometimes we have a lot of, trouble with customer service at a lot of our stores, and that kind of is something that we want to make better in our community. So if Food for Less is willing to partner with us in that, I would love to see something developed around customer service education that young people especially can have, who are getting that first job at the grocery store, that they've gone through some training. So the customer service is just as good at Food for Less as it is at Chick-fil-A that everybody brags about. But that's just a thought.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
We're very different than a lot of large chains. I mean, we're not just exist in the community, but we like to become community partners. At our store that's located in Tallahassee, that's close to FAMU University, we have the same kind of partnership with them about certifications and training, and we would love to do that there also. It would fit in really good with being involved in the community and supporting the community and having the community support us in return. So those kind of relationships are something that we would like to look into and explore further as we go along.
That would be awesome. I'd love to talk to you about that.
Thank you. Also, I'd like to just thank the mayor's office and the city leadership in the consideration of support of this important project. And we look forward to having the opportunity to serve this community. We feel like the citizens of Albany deserve a supermarket that provides quality perishables at a convenient location. Like I said before, we do desire to become community partners with the city of Albany. And I feel like we can make the city a better place to live and work, and we're very enthusiastic about the project, and we're equally confident in our ability to exceed the city's expectations. So, with your support, we'd like to get started on this project. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments, Commissioner Young?
Oh, no, sir. I was done.
Well, I want to thank Mr. McDaniel for being with us. I want to commend Ms. Brown and her staff city manager's office, and all those who've worked on this to see this become a realization, assuming that we get a motion tonight. Any commissioner prepared to offer the resolution?
May I offer the resolution to act for its
I'll
adoption?
offer the resolution and ask for its adoption.
Could you second that, Commissioner Howard?
I can.
Okay. Is that, how do we do that? I think Commissioner Fletcher beat him to the punch, but Commissioner Howard spoke first. But be that as it may, if we don't have a problem, any discussion?
Well, it doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
No, I-
Second, and if makes John feel better.
No, I don't think we hurt anybody's feelings, but it would just be an interesting issue if, Commissioner Howard, any discussion?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem,
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher,
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington,
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff,
No discussion?
Commissioner Young,
No discussion.
could we call a voice vote?
Ward 1,
Yeah.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4, Ward 4, Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes, and there's a conditional item, which was contingent upon the approval of the last item. It requires a amendment to the 2021 budget. Mr. Brown, you with us?
Yes, sir, Mayor, good evening.
Good evening.
You're correct. Yes, this is more or less a technicality now. The fact that you have approved that resolution, we need to amend the fiscal year 21 budget. We did not budget anything in the job investment fund because we didn't have any pending projects. But now that you have approved this, we need to amend the city's budget by $200,000 in the job investment fund.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Brown? Mayor, Commissioner Howard?
No question, thanks for your explanation.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No question.
Commissioner Warmington? Commissioner Langstaff?
No questions?
Commissioner Young?
No question.
Could we call the question, Ms. Top?
Ward 1, 2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4. Mayor, I'm sorry, Ward 5,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. Thank you, Ms. Brown. And the only other item is the consent agenda. And appropriate to move the consent agenda, is that correct?
I move the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Chair will second the, okay, well, Mayor, Commissioner Young, motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington? Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
And do we call the roll on the consent agenda, or we just? Yes. Okay.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4 is absent, Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. Now we move to other business. Commissioner Howard?
Mayor, I don't have another, but I just want to just give a shout out to you for last week recognizing Black History Month, and I also want to give a shout out to our local news media, the Albany Herald and Southwood Georgia and Channel 10 and Channel Fox for. I've been inundated with so much of this information this year in 28 years of participating. They really have saturated this community with Black History Month, and just a shout out to all those local news organs that made it possible.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes, sir, Mayor, and I'm gonna really need a lot of people's help on this, and I'm not gonna name out any businesses, but really on Slappy Avenue from Fifth all the way down to where Goodwill is at, I would challenge all of y'all to ride down and take a hard look at what that part of the community is turning into. It is, we've got burnt buildings, we've got cars parked everywhere, we've got signs with no faces, we've got mannequins hanging out the door, and I am getting businesses that are just saying, you know, we want to be a part of Albany, we love Albany, but we feel like we are just in a third world country. And I took several pictures today, and Ms. Zubadan, Robert Carter and I had talked about this before. We had looked at different areas, but, you know, I think between COVID and the loss of Robert Carter, but I would really like to get the new code enforcement, get the chief and mayor, get some of us, and just stand on the opposite side of, in between those avenues from Fifth, really down to Western Pines. And it is, I didn't even realize the burnt building that's over there in the Goodwill, and then those cars are just taking over. And we just really need to try to stop the bleeding on the businesses that want to pick up and go elsewhere. It really is our gateway of leaving Lee County or coming off of Highway 19, and I just would like for us to all take it serious and let Paul, everybody, let's see what we can do with that, please. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. I think many of us are disappointed at the appearance of Slappy Drive, particularly when you think back what it was 40 years ago. And as I understand, you're charging the city manager to come up with the plan, or are you asking us to have a committee to?
Well, no, because I think I really, the plan is I stood in front of one of the newest businesses that just rebuilt, and they've got $1.3 million to the building, and it was Sonny's Barbecue, and I just stood out there and looked both ways. We just need to get very aggressive about the code violations. It's all code violations. It's been going on, and, you know, Ms. Zubadan, the chief, everyone is going to take it upon themselves, and we do have Officer Tutu that's probably just been overwhelmed with things. But again, like you said, Mayor, you used to could swing off that park down by Slappy and drive down, and it was just a place that looked good, but it looks horrible, and it is a gateway to our community. So I just, not really a committee, I just, for us to all take it up under our wing, that we will be steadfast and we will get these violations, and we will take no nonsense and not let the courts go in and give them a slap on the hand, because it looks horrible. So,
Ms. Zubadan, could we put that on the agenda in coming agenda, what we can do? And certainly, I realize there's been a lot of rezoning, and you start getting title pawn places and car lots, and the appearance is going to become a concern over time. But certainly, if we have people who are violating the code, they need to be cited. But also, whatever Commissioner Fletcher, her ideas are, but I think maybe it would be a good idea to have some committee or plan to not only, obviously, while we're working on downtown, it doesn't mean we can't work on other parts of the city, and I think we probably need to be more proactive with Slappy.
Well, I will, and I'll get pictures. To be honest with you, Mayor, I didn't want to go, I know we're surrounded with media, and I'm sure they see it, but I didn't want to embarrass anyone until I wasn't real sure where Mr. Carter was at with his letters, et cetera. But some of them, I mean, we've just got to stop the madness, get the letters to all of them. And again, it's almost every business from Fifth to Western Pines. And but let's take it serious. And then if we see that they're not in compliance, let's get very aggressive with the fines, because it's costing people that are putting money into their businesses. It's just costing them money, and now they're beginning to say, look, the city's not going to do anything about it. We're just going to pick up and leave or look for another area. And I want them to know that we are a commission that will clean up all parts of our business. So I appreciate your comments on it, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Warburton.
Yeah, can you hear me?
You came back. Is the party over?
Actually, I was screaming in the phone, and you have to hit the star 6. So
Okay.
I messed up on the star 6. So if the clerk would allow me to do a yes vote on those last two items, I was yelling yes. Y'all just couldn't hear me. Hey, one new thing, Mayor. The city attorney has asked us to entertain talking about the government center downtown, and with the county and the deed, and even in one of your letters, Mayor, you suggested possibly a small subcommittee. We'll go work on that. What I was going to ask the commission is, we have our facilities subcommittee task force that myself, Commissioner Howard, Commissioner Fuller, along with some city staff, we've been meeting, but we can't go any further until we resolve this. So what I was going to ask is, if the commission's okay with the three of us, and I haven't asked the other two commissioners, but if they're okay, is to let the three of us maybe meet with a couple or three of the county commissioners and try to come up with some options and bring back a recommendation to the full commission on what we do with the issue with the government center and the future, and how we work with the county on that. So I don't know if it's next to something for us to vote on, but if everybody's okay with that, and the other two commissioners are okay, we can try to arrange a meeting to start a dialogue with the county to resolve that issue.
Okay. Do we need to put that on the agenda, or we just want to?
Well, I don't know if it's technically something we need to vote on in terms of a resolution or ordinance, but I guess if Commissioner Howard and Commissioner Fuller are okay with our group that was already formed trying to instigate a meeting with the county, that's really what I was asking. So I guess it's Commissioner Howard and Commissioner Fuller, and really just
I'm
I guess
okay with
for
that.
information for everybody.
Commissioner Howard?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I can live with it.
Would that be more appropriate for the city manager to be doing, to, develop some type of MOU with the county in terms of facilities? Instead of that being the purview of the board?
Okay, excuse me, Commissioner Young. I think there are a lot of questions as to what the, I guess, remit of the committee would be, and the I guess foundation of the negotiations, if they're going to be, because I think that's where we're leading. So, Commissioner Warburton, could we just put it on the agenda for next Tuesday and we talk about what the proposal is?
Well, yeah, I think we would need to go in executive session, but yeah, if we want to do that would be fine.
Okay, all right. Yeah, but I think we probably need to be more proactive in addressing the situation. Anything else, Commissioner Warmington?
No, if we can set that up on our next work session, I just think time is of the essence. And,
Okay.
yeah, if we can do an executive session,
Can-
maybe we can get everybody's input. And I know the city manager and the county administrator has been talking, city attorney and county attorney have been talking. We just need to get a group of people in the room and try to hash it out versus all the different entities talking in different settings and meetings and legal this and legal that and threats of this and threats of that. It's
Okay.
just we're not going to reach a resolution. So anyway, so yeah,
Well,
next
yeah.
meeting, that'll be fine.
I don't, we'll let Mr. Davis tell us whether we can go in, it's appropriate for executive session or just, I think, if we're not getting into the specifics of the discussions, it probably, I think we're talking about two different things. I was just proposing that we discuss what the charge of the committee would be, as opposed to the specifics of the negotiations. But can we put that on the agenda, Ms. Subadan?
Yes, sir. So basically the charge of the task force, the mission that you're going to give them as a board, as it relates to this, is that what you would like on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, we'll get an agenda item in for that.
Okay. Is that agreeable, Commissioner Warburton?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it needs to be an executive session, because if we start talking about particulars of real estate and property and acquisition, or because right now we have no agreements in place with the county. We're all just operating under a handshake at the moment. For all the office space buildings that we're in, and the county, some maintain some, we really, I think it needs to be discussed in private. I think that's an executive session.
Well, obviously, when we get down to the negotiations, that's one thing, but, like I say, I think we're kind of on a different page. We'll Ms. Subadan, can we get sort of an agenda item giving us a background here? Do we have time?
Hoping that we,
Ma'am?
we'll pull it together.
I'm sorry about it, but we do need to do something. And what I was thinking, Ms. Subadan, so we understand what city offices are here, and how the expenses are shared, who's responsible for, assuming that we don't know the specifics of the arrangement. And Commissioner Warburton, is that all?
Yeah, that's it. Mhm.
Okay. Commissioner Langstaff?
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, sir. I just want to take a moment to recognize a great citizen of Albany and absolute a pillar of the community, but this man was really a foundation in the community of South Albany, and that's Milton Junebug Griffin, who was laid to rest today. And I just want to have all of us recognize the impact that he had on his community. Reverend Theodius Drake talked about how Mr. Griffin was an investor, but he was an investor, he was a businessman, but he was also an investor in people. And he did so much to, for thousands of young black men as a coach and a mentor. Even, when I ran for office, he supported my opponent, but he made sure to let me know that, he was proud of me in the endeavor that I was taking up. And we really lost a stalwart in the community, and I just wanted the board and the city to recognize his contributions. And, a shout out to the junior bombers, I was one of the Little League teams that you coached for years, and also the team at the American Legion. Hopefully at some point, I know we got you your football field at Driscoll Park, Mr. Mayor, but I know you have a love for youth baseball, so at some point, when we get ready to move forward with the renovations that, my goodness, not Bill Miller, but
Henderson
Gym, the baseball field over there. Yeah, the baseball field over there. I would definitely love to talk about renovating and naming that for Mr. Griffin. Just you know, just a real. I can't say enough about his impact on you know, so many of us here in South Albany, and we're going to miss him. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. I hate to follow up Commissioner Young's words of sympathy to Mr. Griffin's family, and also recognizing Mr. Griffin for his contributions to the community. But I do think tonight is Albany Daugherty Day in Atlanta, and apparently this is not the first year that event has been scheduled on the same night that the City Commission has its regular meeting in February. I think we need to contact the Chamber of Commerce and ask that in the future that they consult the City Commission and make sure there's no conflict for those of us who want to attend the event in Atlanta. It's an opportunity to meet with our delegation during the session. I think it's important that we be there, but also I understand that it would be an inconvenience on most of the commission if we had to reschedule our regular work session, our regular meeting in February. And so what I would propose to do is maybe write a letter to the chamber asking that in the future the event be coordinated with the City Commission to obviate this kind of conflict. But we can talk about that. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your participation.
If you are eligible to receive the COVID vaccine, I encourage you to do so. If you have family members or loved ones who are eligible, I would ask that you encourage them to be vaccinated. You and they, in doing so, will protect yourselves, your family, your friends, your co-workers, and our community.